Once again, good afternoon po. We are set to start the webinar in 5 minutes, in 2 minutes rather. While waiting again, please keep your microphones muted and avoid unnecessary background noise po. We also highly appreciate it if you refrain from leaving hateful and unrelated comments in the comment box. Thank you very much. Once again, good afternoon, fellow lovers of knowledge and wisdom. This afternoon, we are gathered virtually to harness our teaching skills, particularly on teaching, reading comprehension through practical approaches and explicit teaching. But before we officially begin our webinar, let us first ask the guidance of our Lord through a prayer to be led by Mom Sarah Jane Salanguste.
Okay, let's bow our heads and feel the presence of the Lord. Heavenly Father, we come before you today with grateful hearts, thankful for the opportunity to gather and learn together in this seminar. We thank you for the gift of knowledge and for the passion you have placed in each of us to teach and guide the next generation. We ask for your presence to be with us throughout this day. May your wisdom fill the hearts of our speakers as they share their expertise, and may you open the minds of hearts of all participants so that we may receive knowledge with humility, enthusiasm, and purpose. Bless this discussion, the discussion we will have, the ideas we will exchange, and the skills we will develop. May this seminar ignite a deeper commitment in each of us to empower our students to read, understand, and grow. We pray for the success of this seminar, for it to be meaningful and fruitful experience for all. Grant us patience, understanding, and a spirit of collaboration as we strive to become better educators for the glory of your name. All these we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. It is a blessed day indeed. Once again, a pleasant afternoon, fellow educators. I'd like to welcome you all to our webinar for today. I am Miss Rosanita Gutierrez, your host for today's fun and informative webinar session. Allow me to thank each of you for sharing your time with us despite your hectic schedules. And we are so pleased to see each of you present here. Well, today's webinar is on teaching reading comprehension through practical approaches and explicit teaching. This timely webinar is designed to arm you with explicit comprehension strategies that you can integrate into your daily teaching, as well as to help improve your learners' engagement in reading texts. Before we dive into our topic, let us first have a roll call of our participants today. May I request our participants to please key in the comment box your name, your school, and your location. Can you do that, please, dear participants? Please key in your name, your school if possible, and your location. Okay. Mom Karen Bautista is present in the virtual room. NTC, of course, enrolled at NTC, and Ma'am Karen is in Vietnam at the moment. Wow. We have an international participant this afternoon. Sai is this Sir Sai Fresto. Forgive me if I pronounce it wrong. Mr. Fresto said, "Hi, good afternoon." He is teaching in Unida Christian Colleges and he is from Imus. Okay, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, sir. And for the rest of you, please keep your comments coming, and we shall be surely reading your comments and for the checking of the attendance. All right. Now, thank you very much for your responses, and we sure hope that you will maintain this high level of participation all throughout our webinar. So without so much ado, we now are going to get to know our speakers. And so to introduce them to us once again, may we have Ma'am Sarah Jane Salanguste.
Hi, great day, everyone. I'm Sarah Jane Salangusta, and I'm honored to present today's seminar entitled Teaching Reading Comprehension Through Practical Approaches and Explicit Teaching. First of all, I would like to welcome each and every one of you to this meaningful learning experience. It is truly inspiring to see fellow educators, learners, and advocates of literacy together in pursuit of one common goal: to empower students with the gift of reading comprehension. So now, allow me to introduce our STEAM speakers. Okay, so first we have Miss Shayna B. Benaflor, a junior high school teacher at Lyceum at the Philippines University. She will talk about the importance of reading comprehension, a crucial topic that sets the stage for everything we will discuss today. So next, we will hear from Miss Jessa R. De Vera, a senior high school teacher and former junior high school English teacher with 8 years of experience in the Department of Education. She will present key comprehension strategies, essential tools we can use in our classroom to help our students become confident and capable readers. Following that, we have Ms. Jacqueline T. Malamdag, a junior high school teacher for 6 years in the Department of Education. She will discuss about the gradual release of responsibility, a model that guides students from the dependence to independence in their learning journey. Lastly, we will have Miss Erica M. Mijana, a former private school teacher who has handled both junior and senior high school learners. She will share her insights on designing effective lessons that support reading comprehension in meaningful and practical ways. And of course, we are grateful to have Miss Rosanita L. Gutierrez, okay, for a senior high school teacher for 8 years in the Department of Education, who will also share her expertise with us. Once again, welcome, and let's make this seminar an productive, inspiring learner experience for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am. Let's give Ma'am Sarah Jane and the speakers a virtual round of applause. Can we do that, dear participants? Yeah, thank you very much. Once again, thank you again for your participation, for your active participation so far. Now we move on to the highlight of today's session, which is the webinar proper. Our goal in this segment is to provide you with practical and research-based approaches to teaching reading comprehension, as well as concrete examples that you can apply in your classroom. Let's begin with our first topic, the importance of reading comprehension. Our speaker will briefly discuss why comprehension is essential across all subject areas and how it supports student success. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, may we give a virtual round of applause for our first speaker, Ma'am Sheena B. Buenaflor.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Miss Rosavita and Miss Sarah Jane, for the warm welcome. Now, I am glad to present to you the first topic for this webinar. And before that, let me introduce myself briefly. Once again, I am Sheena, and I am currently teaching at the Lyceum of the Philippines University Cavite. I have been in the teaching profession for 5 years now, and throughout these years, I've had the privilege of teaching both elementary and junior high school students. In this time, I've witnessed firsthand the diverse challenges students face, particularly in developing strong reading comprehension. That's why I found our webinar, Teaching Reading Comprehension, a Strategic Approach by Dr. Janelle Rios, engaging and also very informative. Janelle Rios especially is impactful because he is a highly respected figure in Australian education with over 40 years of experience ranging from classroom instruction to system-wide educational reform. Her commitment to improving learning outcomes has influenced countless schools and educations nationwide. So let's begin with our learning objectives. The first one is for you to be able to understand the layered development of reading comprehension and its foundational skills, followed by differentiate between constrained, which is quick developing, and unconstrained, ongoing reading skills. And the third one is to recognize the role of fluency, vocabulary, and prosody in deepening reading comprehension. All right. Before we proceed to our discussion, we'll have an icebreaker first. So this one's easy. You just have to give a virtual reaction if you have experienced this in your own class. These are reading scenarios. You may give a thumbs up if you can relate, a reaction if you find these scenarios funny, and so forth. All right, let's begin. So here's the first scenario. The reads like a robot reader. See, we have encountered this kind of reader, a student who reads every word perfectly, the same monotone voice. It's like we are listening to Google Translate, but with low battery. I think most of us can relate. Thank you, Miss Karen, Science, Sarah Jane, and Miss Yes, and everyone reacting. Yeah, so me too, in my 5 years of teaching, I have encountered such reader. They can decode the words perfectly, but there's a hindrance why they are reading like this. So from the webinar that we have studied, we realized that the hindrance when it comes to these kinds of readers, we have no prosody or no comprehension. The students are able to utter the words perfectly. They can decode sounds, but not the meaning. So later on, we will find some solutions for these kinds of readers. How about this one, the word skipper? A student skips every third word while reading, hoping no one notices. then proudly says done after a 2-page passage. Have you teachers encountered such readers? Can you give your virtual reactions, please? Okay, I see Ma'am Karen and Miss Sarah Jean. Alright, me too. My niece who is here right now, she does this. And the hindrance when it comes to these kinds of reader is they have lack of focus or fluency, and this could lead to big comprehension gaps. So, of course, when you skip a word, you will not be able to understand what the text really means, especially if it is a story. Alright, and we're down to the last one, the text detective kinda. This is the scenario. The teacher will say, why did the character run away? And the student will answer, because he was hungry. But in the story, the character ran away because here he was actually being chased by a dragon. So they are just guessing the answer for your questions. Alright, I see you can relate, especially with younger readers, right? Okay, thank you so much for your participation. And the hindrance is poor inference skills and lack of context understanding. I taught elementary to junior high school, and making inferences are is one of the topics that we discuss to the students, but unfortunately there are students that cannot infer what could happen next. Alright, now let's move on to our discussion. So from the webinar, we have learned that reading is more than decoding. So it is not enough for the students to just read or utter the words perfectly. Reading comprehension is the ultimate goal. Alright, so when it comes to these kinds of reader, students will arrive, or not all students will arrive with the same skills. Some high ability students struggle with decoding but excel in comprehension. So for teaching tip, we should incorporate diagnostic assessments to distinguish between decoding and comprehension challenges. So these kinds of diagnostic assessments will allow us to provide targeted support where it's most needed. So I have researched from the webinar that we have watched as well, different diagnostic assessments that we could use to identify decoding versus comprehension issues. So the first one is running records. Are you familiar with this? Can you give me a reaction, a visual reaction, if you are familiar with this one? If not yet, let me explain this one to you. So, running records, here you will sit with the student one-on-one, giving them a leveled passage to read aloud. So the passage that you have to give is, of course, should be according to the reader's level. And as they read, you can have the same passage and mark mispronunciations, or you could give them the passage itself and let the student correct themselves, and this is called the self-corrections. And then repetitions or omissions. If the students tend to repeat words, you may write it down, and if they tend to omit words, you can note that as well and give your feedback to the student. So the other one is to ask comprehension questions or request a retelling, because you cannot explain in your own words something that you don't know. So to analyze it, we can use this one. Many decoding errors, but strong comprehension answers. If the student is like this, it means they have decoding issues. But if they are accurate, or if there are accurate decoding and weak comprehension, so this time it means that the student has comprehension issues. Okay, and here are some more diagnostic assessments that we can use. Number 3, listening comprehension versus reading comprehension. So here you can read a grade level passage aloud to the student, ask comprehension questions, then have the student read a similar level passage silently and answer similar types of questions. This one is helpful because you can analyze here. If the student understands when listening but not when reading, they have decoding issues. And if the student is struggling with both, it means that they have comprehension or language processing issue. Okay. In the chat box, can you also share a strategy you use to assess comprehension separately from decoding? See, I could wait for 5 seconds if there is any answer, or maybe you can raise your hand if you would like to share. Thank you, Ms. Rosanita, for your answer. Q&A. Socratic method. Thank you. Would you like to share more about that, Ms. Rosanita? Or maybe later as we go on through our upcoming topics. Right. Thank you for your response. And now we will move on to the next one. How comprehension develops. So Dr. Wills draws from Marzano and Sims' layered model of reading development, which emphasizes a progression. First, we have foundational skills, word recognition, fluency and procedurality, comprehension, means across listening, reading, and content areas. So each layer builds upon the previous one, reinforcing the idea that comprehension is not a single but a complex, cumulative process. And for fluency and prosody, fluency and prosody more than speed. Fluency isn't just reading fast, so it is not enough if the reader can, or if the student can read fast. There should be expressions involved, rhythm, and tone. And this is called prosody. And it reflects a reader's grasp of meaning. Students who read with expression often understand more because they are engaging immediately. As far as I experienced, based from my experience, there are students, even if they're reading aloud, they still read it with surprise. And that is because they are able to comprehend what are they reading. So, classroom strategy that we could use is to model prosodic reading. We can use echo reading, where teacher reads, students read, and choral reading, where everyone reads together. I know you can relate. As an educator, we ask them to read all together. So you can see as well if they are still engaged with the lecture. And now we have vocabulary fuels comprehension. So Dr. Wills underscores the role of vocabulary in comprehension. She introduces a 3-tier framework. The first one is common or everyday words like jump, dog, maybe drink, water. And tier 2 is high utility academic terms, such as compare, describe, analyze, or infer. And the third one is subject-specific terms, such as photosynthesis for science, republic, maybe in social science. So for the intro or instructional tip, we can prioritize tier 2 and tier 3 words in your instruction. So we can reinforce them through explicit teaching, visuals, and cross-curricular activities. Okay, do you have any questions so far? If none, let me just summarize what we have talked about in this lecture. So, reading comprehension is not automatic. So, it demands deliberate, sustained instruction, especially in vocabulary development, background knowledge, critical thinking strategies, and awareness of text structures. Now, here's a reflective question that we could take to consideration. Do your current reading activities focus more on decoding or on making meaning? For language teachers that are here, and I believe even if you're not a language teacher, every teacher is a reading teacher. So, is there anyone here who would like to answer? Do your current reading activities focus more on decoding or on making meaning? Maybe you can give a thumbs up or a virtual reaction. Miss Jessa and Miss Sarah Jeannie, thank you for your participation. So, it means that you agree that your current reading activities focus more on decoding or on making meaning, right? Don't worry, because as we go further with our discussion, we will learn more about reading comprehension, right? Now let's reflect more on what we've learned. What insight will you take back to your teaching? Are you going to omit something from your teaching? Or you can also answer the next question. How will you shift your reading instruction to prioritize comprehension? Any volunteers? Maybe if you're shy like me, you can put it in the chat box. Right? If you need more time, maybe we can look back to that later. Thank you, Ms. Rosanita, for your chat. Keep the comments coming. All right. So if you have no more questions, and if you would like to share something, you can feel free to put it in the chat box. And I guess that would be all for my presentation. And we will now go to our next speaker. Thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Sheena. Okay. Indeed, that was a very insightful overview. And before we proceed to the next segment of our webinar, may I request the participation of everyone. Can you please keep the comments coming? Key in the comments box your takeaways, a word or two, a phrase or a sentence can do. Can you please key in a word, a phrase, or a sentence that will serve as your key takeaway from our first topic before we proceed to the next one? Oh well, if you're not ready just yet, please keep your comments coming and we shall go back to them in a while. Okay, so for our next topic, we shall be delving deep into key comprehension strategies. Here, we'll explore essential strategies like predicting, questioning, clarifying, and summarizing. Okay, so with this, let's welcome our next speaker, Mom Jessa R. De Vera.
Thank you so much po, Ma'am Rosinita. Um, uh, Quick intro lang po. Good day po ulit, everyone. I am Jessa De Vera from Quezon Province, and I am teaching in DepEd for more than 7 years now. And today I will be discussing 4 of the 60 comprehension strategies following the explicit approach of teaching po. What else? So let's begin po. So next slide po, please. Yeah. Okay. So here are sample guide questions that I would give my students to if you want to take a screenshot po, you can because this will be used later on in our discussion. Okay na po? Okay na po. Yeah, okay. Sige po, next slide po. Yan, okay. So, before we begin, I will let you read the story first po. This is a senior high school flash fiction example na hindi po ako nakaka-move on with. Pero ipipaste ko na din po siya dito sa chat box natin para po hindi sila mahirapan na. And I will be giving you 3 minutes to read the story. Okay, timer starts now. Okay na po kaya? Okay na po. Sige po. Sige, we'll continue na po. Next slide po, please. Yan. Okay. Today po, we will be discussing, again, the 4 key comprehension strategies which will be beneficial to our professional teaching, especially po in teaching, reading, comprehension. Okay? So we will be focusing on predicting, questioning, clarifying, and summarizing. But first, next slide po, please. First, we will be discussing about questioning. Next slide po, please. Thank you. So, since giving po, sorry po, the appropriate question, it changes everything in a reading session. Tama po ba? So, the focus of my talk will be on that po. So, questioning is a strategy that involves readers asking themselves questions throughout the reading of a text. Okay? Next po. Yan. So, these are the first 2 questions. So, let me read it to you. Who are the main characters in the story and where is the story taking place? So, number 1 question which always prompts the students to answer is, who are the main characters? So, yun yung unang question probably that will come into our mind if we are reading a story, so that our students will be engaged and it is easier to answer. Is it tama po ba ako? And the setting also. So those are the first questions. If not, may iba pa kayong naiisip, or what are the important things na na-notice nila sa story, yun po yung mga possible questions from which yun yung una nating maiisip na ilagay in our slides. Correct po. Next po. So as you can see po, these questions may trigger the readers to ask more. So all throughout the reading of the text. And this will give them these questions will give them time to think about other questions related to the story. It will lead them to formulate more questions. But the question now is it enough? Okay? So asking the right questions, sorry po, pabalik po. Asking the right questions allows good readers to focus on the most important information in the text. Am I right po? Thank you po, Ma'am Sheena. Next slide po. Now look at this question po. These are also the same question, but we somehow changed them into a more explicit one. And dun sa goal po ng DepEd to integrate higher order thinking skills is somewhat pasok siya. Like sa question number 1, we revised it to who are the main characters in the story. As far as junior high school and senior high school is concerned po. So who are the main characters in the story and what details from the text help you understand who they are and what roles they play. So the difference between the first question, the simple one, and this is that the readers will be able now to identify and give you the characteristics of the characters. And same with question number 2. This is more explicit at the same time a higher level pa po. Okay, next po. Yan. Generating good questions may also lead readers to focus on problems with comprehension and take actions to deal with this problem. With this po, you would know who can answer only basic questions. I know this is not yung inclusive. Hindi naman po, inclusive naman siya. Hindi nyo naman po siya ihiwalay. But then, you can actually pinpoint who can answer only the basic questions. And those who are not able to answer the follow-up questions, those are the students who struggle to delve deep into the context of the story. Now, you would know the students to focus on. Okay, next po. Yan. Then, now let's move on po to predicting. Ito po, I know this one is the one of the most exciting strategy in reading. Okay? Moving on po to this topic, next po. Yan. I will share to you my experiences in this, using that story, the, what do you call that story again? The Unlucky Winners. So honestly, I have been using this story po for 3 years po in senior high school. And I have noticed that some of my students are finding it hard to understand the ending. To those who have read it po up to the end, do you find it confusing din? And meron po ba na medyo confusing po siya because it's an open-ended story. No, and my students back in senior high school, the first time I introduced this story, they would read it over and over again, and they are finding it hard to guess what happened to Pete. And they would ask me, "Ma'am, ano nangyari? Bakit namatay po ba siya?" So kailangan pa nila siyang basahin over and over again to understand kung sino yung dahilan. So we can really use predicting to guide the students to understand complex stories like this one. Actually, in senior high school, the module that was given to us, there are lots of flash fictions that are like this. Stories that are open-ended, and then, well, that is the characteristic of a flash fiction, and I find it hard sometimes to explain to most of the students in the class to the ending, why it happened. I remember this story po, yung may dog din siya. I just don't remember the title. But only one student was able to identify that the one who died in the story was, in fact, the owner of the dog and not the dog. Everybody told me that dun sa story, ang namatay po ma'am ay yung aso. No, kasi dun sa dulo ng story, ang may nakalagay dun, bakit sabi ng isang bata, bakit sabi nung dun sa story, may floppy ear siya, ibig sabihin ang namatay ay yung may-ari. Yung ganun po. So that happens all the time by experience. So predicting is a strategy that involves the ability of readers to get meaning from a text by making informed predictions. So note of the informed prediction. Good readers use predicting as a way to connect their existing knowledge to new information from a text to get meaning from what they have read. Next po, please. So the first question in my mind, kung nagmamadali akong gumawa ng PowerPoint, is, what are the clues that you have picked from the story? Okay? But look at this po. Next slide po. Yan. We can use materials like this because in an investigation, it's explicit. It's direct to the point and we're answering questions directly. At the same time, the students will be able to use their yung pong ano nila, what you call that, yung kakayahan nilang mag-identify ng clues. Okay? So we can use materials like investigation boards wherein students can place their informed prediction. Informed prediction po are those details in the story. Those in the box, the blue box, are the informed predictions from the story. Okay? And by connecting them one by one, can help the students to guess first what happened. And then eventually they can guess who killed Pete, or who did this, bakit, what was that thing that Jim unearthed, and it was stated in the story, a familiar red. It was actually Pete's hat. And the faint smell of her perfume, who is her? Tatlo lang naman sila sa flash fiction. So, there the students po can predict already. Okay, next slide po. Readers may make predictions about what's going to happen next or what ideas or evidence the author will present to support an argument. They tend to evaluate these predictions continuously and revise any prediction that is not confirmed by the reading. Actually, predicting happens at the very beginning. Pag po nagbabasa sila, they are already predicting what's going to happen. Just like in this story, when Jim said, half when I win, what does that mean? Kapag nanalo ako, yung kalahati kay Pete. Okay? Meaning po that their prediction changes as they read the story. And how do we reinforce that? We can change the question. Next slide po, please. To, how did specific clues in the story like Jim's promise to Pete or his wife's encouragement to spend the money help you make predictions about the story would end? And you will have to ask them to explain bakit or paano nila naisip yun, and use these evidence from the text to support their answer. This question po is explicit, at the same time a higher order thinking skill question. This may prompt their curiosity and dig more about the ending of the story, since it's an open-ended one, a characteristic of a flash fiction. Are we clear po? Okay. Okay, next slide po. Now we move on po with clarifying. Okay? The third strategy is clarifying. My question po is, why do we need to clarify? Next slide po. Why do we need to clarify? For us who are not, okay, let's take the story aside, and ikaw, bakit ka ba nagka-clarify? To know if something makes sense. So what does the discovery of Pete's red hat in the garden suggest? So the students in my experience with this story, dun po sila pinaka naka-curious sa last part, dun sa unearthed, yung may, ano nga po yun? Sorry. Yan, unearthed a familiar red. Dun po sila, parang dun na nawala yung idea nila. Ano po yung red? Isipit lang naman yung may red doon sa story, di ba? And ano po kaya nangyari? Parang lagi po sila nagtatanong ng gano'n. So that is clarifying po. Next slide po, please. So clarifying po involves children identifying problem areas and then using fix up or repair strategies such as reading on to give more information. Next po. So the part po when Pete disappeared is what made my students very, very confused. Just as I have mentioned later. They would tell, yan, di nila gets, or bakit siya nawala. Imagine po, in less than, binilang ko po yung words niyan, 86. In less than a 100-word story, they were confused. But as facilitators, we need to help them. So, let's add another question to the first question. What does the discovery of Pete's red hat in the garden suggest about what happened to him? And use the clues he found to explain the answer. So we already had that in the predicting part. So may nakuha ka ng informed prediction, then let's use that. Therefore, they will be able to patch things up to create, to guess what happened or to understand what happened in the story. This way po, the students will be prompted to use their answer in prediction to answer their clarification questions and make sense to resolve their confusion. Tama po ba ako? By asking these questions, hindi tayo ang nagsasagot. Tama po, hindi tayo yung nagsagot eh. But we gave them a chance to get their own answer and clarify on their own explicitly. Direkta, hindi magulo. Okay? So, next po. So, what should we do po as a teacher or as teachers? Number 1, rereading more slowly. If napansin mo that this student is struggling, you allow them to reread and reread it more slowly. Because I remember one teacher telling me when I was in high school, Jessa, hindi naman lahat ng tao kagaya mo. Ganun. So, we allow students to read the story again. If we have more time, allow them to read it maybe thrice, o kaya 4 times. Give them ample time to understand. The more we pressure students po to read quickly, the more that they don't understand what they're reading. And number 2, looking at pictures. This story has no picture. When I used to use the story, I would gather pictures from the internet. So, mas madali po nilang maiintindihan. If there are photos, let them examine it. And eventually, if they have questions for you, you answer. Okay? Next one po is consulting a dictionary. This is something they don't do anymore. Hindi nga, I'm not sure if there are students pa who carries a dictionary with them. But you can introduce them to online dictionaries. Merriam-Webster have one. If there are words that they have stumbled on just like ngayon lang, you can suggest using a dictionary. And then, next one po is using prior knowledge. Ask them if they have previous, same thing like in the story, if it happened to them before. And you facilitate relating it to real-life situations. Kung pwede po. Reflecting on the text read. Ask for their opinion. Takeaways on the text read. And then simultaneously ask why or how it affects their perspective in life. Diba? explicit na nga po siya, higher order thinking skill pa siya. And then, second to the last, rephrasing a difficult sentence. Ito naman po very common to us. First time I taught senior high school, palagi ko yung ginagawa kasi yun po yung hinihiling nila. The students will ask us about words which are not familiar. Parang yan po. Binala ko na nga po noon na bumili ng mga 10 dictionary para ibigay sa mga bata. Okay? Talagang we have to, to scaffold. And the last one po is thinking about what the writer is trying to say. We can help them if they are having trouble understanding the lesson, but not to the point po na ibinigay mo na yung sagot. Okay? Next slide po. Okay po, last one na pala. Now po, on to our last key strategy, summarizing. This sounds as easy. Kasi pagsasama-samahin lang naman po natin yung nabasa. But the real challenge here is, paano pagsasama-samahin yung hindi naman naintindihan? Okay, summarizing. Next po. So, summarizing is the ability of readers to pull together or synthesize the information in a text so as to explain in their own words what the text is about. So, how do we start? How do we trigger the students to give the explicit summary of the story? Next slide po. So we can start by asking them what is the main message of the theme of the story or the theme of the story. Sorry. And how do the event support it? So, by asking them what are the themes of the story, or what is the theme of the story, they will give you maybe 1-2 sentence answer. And then, you will ask them how are you going to support that? And then, unknowing or unconsciously, the students will be able to give you a summary already. The first question, what is the main message, will prompt the answer that expresses the theme of the story. And the follow-up question po guides the student to explain how the sequence of events support the theme. And now you have your summary. And next slide po. Yan, parang ganyan po. So, by experience din po, the students are so afraid to write in English. All the more summarize the story they did not understand, diba? So maybe we can use this strategy to encourage them write something by indirectly telling them na ano yung main message or theme, then susulat niya, support it, na-summarize na pala niya, diba? Parang, diba sinabi ko sa'yo, kaya mo naman. Okay? Next po. So, yan. Parang ganyan po. Next po. Always remember po that explicit, as defined by Merriam-Webster, means fully revealed or expressed without vagueness, implication, or ambiguity. When we give our students direct instructions and clear questions to begin with, we often notice that they provide clearer, more focused answers. Answers that are close, if not closer po, to our expected outcomes. Thank you so much po for listening. Thank you so much po, Ma'am Shayna. These are my references po for guiding me on my slides. Thank you so much po. Siguro po, you can share your questions later on in the Q&A.
Wow, thank you very much, Ma'am Jessa. Okay, indeed, that was a fun-filled and learning-filled session po. Before we continue, though, let us have a short breather po. May I request our participants to please join in. Please interact using the emojis in the Gmeet platform. If you enjoyed the first 2 sessions, can you please give us a round of applause? Again, if you enjoyed it, wow, thank you very much. If you were amazed by our speakers, can you give us a heart reaction, please? Thank you very much. And if you are very eager to learn more through our next set of speakers, please give us a thumbs up. Okay, wow. Thank you very much for your participation. All right, now we move on to an in-depth session on gradual release of responsibility, or GRR, the I do, we do, and the you do model. Let us see how this framework supports comprehension instruction through modeling and scaffolded practice. This will be dealt with by another competent speaker in the person of Ma'am Jacqueline T. Malamda.
Thank you so
Ma'am,
much
take it
for
away.
your introduction, Ma'am Sheena. Okay, good afternoon, everyone, my fellow teachers and dear participants. This afternoon, before we start, I would like to introduce myself. I am Ma'am Jacqueline T. Malamdag. As in senior high school teacher, I do have 7 years of teaching. Okay, 1 year in private and 6 years in public. So basically, I handle different kind of learners. Okay, so let's start. Okay, my discussion. Okay, with the learning objectives. What are the learning objectives that we should meet right after our discussion? First one, okay, we will define what is the gradual release of responsibility. The second one, okay, discuss the stages or the phases of the GRR. And the last one is recognize how to use GRR in teaching reading. Okay, so let's start our discussion about the gradual release of responsibility. Next slide po. Okay, let us define first what is a gradual release of responsibility. The gradual release of responsibility, or the GRR, is a powerful instructional framework rooted in the science of reading and evidence-based strategies. So this approach supports teachers in helping students become independent learners while ensuring that instruction is scaffolded appropriately. Should use the GRR model. It is a teaching approach, okay, influenced by Lev Vygotsky's ideas, particularly the zone of proximal development. Kindly uh, provide a reaction if you know Lev Vygotsky. Okay, thank you so much po for your reaction. Okay, so actually, the GRR is aligned with the Lev-Vygotsky zone of proximal development, wherein in GRR, moves students from teacher-led instruction to independent practice, transferring responsibility for learning. The model emphasizes scaffolding, where teachers provide support and guidance that is gradually released or reduced as students gain proficiency. Okay, next slide po, Ma'am Sheena. Okay, so as you can see here, we have the GRR model. So we have here the stages or the phases of the GRR. First, we have the I do it stage, wherein we all know the I do it stage is mainly, okay, on the teacher's responsibility. So as you can see there, the second one is we do it stage, again with the guidance and responsibility of our teacher. The third stage is the you do it together, collaborative, and the last stage is you do it alone. So we will discuss it further in our next slides. Okay, so we do have here the 4 key phases of the GRR. Number 1 is the I do, or teacher modeling. Okay, so do you believe or do you agree that teacher is a role model? Everyone, do you believe? Okay, thank you so much for your reaction. Okay, of course, we teachers is the role model of our classroom. Okay, so the teacher explicitly models the task or the skill, providing direct instruction and demonstrating the thought process involved. Of course, we the teachers must demonstrate the skills or the topic that we have to um, provide to our students, right? So we teachers explicitly demonstrate a skill or concept. We provide clear explanation and models, of course, the process. Just like, for instance, in different subjects in math, before we arrive in conclusion, of course, the teacher will provide before before the teacher gives the student an activity, of course, he or she will provide how they will arrive a certain solution, right? And in science, of course, there is also a process when doing a research. Of course, teacher will be the one to teach how we will arrive on such. Just like also, of course, in English. Okay, so this stage set the stage for learning by clarifying, and students will learn why is it important. So that is our first stage, the I do. Teacher must be the one to teach or model the skill to students. The second phase or stage is we have the we do or the guided practice. So the teacher works alongside to the students, guiding them through the skill or task while offering support and feedback. A while ago, we talked about the I do stage. So the responsibility is mainly of the teacher, 100% responsibility. But this time, in our second stage or phase, the we do stage, okay, so there will be 50-50, 50% responsibility from the teacher and 50% responsibility from the students. Okay, so the teacher will guide the students about the skill they want to impart, they want to teach to the learners. Okay, teacher provides, of course, support and guidance as students work together with teacher to practice the new skill or concept. So the teacher uses prompts, questions, and feedback to help students understand the material and clarify any misunderstandings. Okay, the third phase of GRR is we have the you do together or the collaborative practice. Okay, so students collaborate with peers to practice the skill, applying what they learn in a shared setting. Okay, so I'm sure you can relate to me that, of course, the part of our lesson, okay, we provide different activities, especially the collaborative activities, right, to our students. We believe that they can solve a particular problem. Okay, they can by sharing, by collaborating with their peers, right? Students work together in groups. So we provide different activities. Okay, of course, by sharing their ideas, okay, learning from each other and applying their knowledge in a collaborative setting. So this stage allows students to practice, right, and refine their skills while developing social and, of course, communication skills to their peers. And the last phase is we have the you do or the independent practice. Students demonstrate mastery of the skill independently, applying their knowledge without, of course, their teacher support. From the word itself, you do. Okay, so the student will be the one to share, or I mean, will be the one to um, know the meaning of something, solve the meaning of a problem, right? Okay. So students apply their newly acquired knowledge and skills independently, okay, of course, demonstrating their understanding and mastery of the material. So this stage allows students to solidify their learning and become, of course, more confident, okay, in their ability to perform the tasks on their own. So the teacher will observe if the student, can really apply what they learn in the first phases or the stages of the GRR in this phase. Next slide po. Okay, so let me share this video clip in order to understand more about the I do, we do, and you do.
I do, we do, you do is a proven method for helping students to learn and practice new skills. Let's see how it works. As an example, we'll see how a mother bird teaches her babies to fly. She follows the method of I do, we do, you do. The mother bird is the teacher, and the baby birds are the students. The first step is I do. The teacher demonstrates the new skill she is teaching and explains the process to the students. The teacher might demonstrate the skill a few times to make sure the students understand. The second step is we do. The teacher and the students practice the new skill together. This is where they spend the most time. They practice the skill together until the students seem confident about the process. The third step is you do. The students practice the skill on their own. During this part, the teacher observes the students to see if they have learned the skill correctly and to guide those who need help. This method is a very effective way to help your students gradually build confidence as they learn and practice a new skill. More than just a teaching method, this is a pattern you can follow whenever you teach something new.
So as you can see in our video clip, okay, so we watch how a mother bird teaches their babies how to fly. So us being a teacher, we have to do in our classes, we have to model, we have to demonstrate a new skill, how to do a certain activity or a new task to our students. Then in second stage, right, we will take our students with us. Okay, the skill, the task, or the activity together. And then, based on the video, of course, and in our discussion, in the third stage, we move towards to the you do stage, wherein students will work in pairs, working together as collaborative learning or cooperative learning. And then, we will give our students the time to do the tasks independently. Okay, to build, of course, their confidence. Okay, so that will be the phases of the GRR. Those are the phases of the GRR. Next slide po, ma'am. Okay, so how will we use the GRR in teaching reading? So I provide example activity and how will we give or how will we do the GRR in teaching reading. Next slide po, ma'am. Okay. Number one po, focus instruction or the I do stage. For instance, our objective is here. Teacher models the reading strategy explicitly. Example, in teaching main idea. Okay, you can read a short non-fiction paragraph aloud. Okay, so we can have a volunteer to our students or we teacher first, read the reading passage. Or right after that, think aloud. I noticed that the most of the sentences talk about how bees make honey. So that must be the main idea. Of course, before we proceed telling them on that, okay, we will teach first to our students, how to point out or how to pick a main idea. Okay. And of course, right after that, highlight keywords or topic sentences. Okay, so we will explain to them how we figure it out that. Of course, again, we will teach them first how to pick the main idea in the different sentences. Next one, guided instruction or the we do. Objective, teacher guides students through the strategy with support. Of course, this could be the collaboration of the teacher and the student. Example, finding the main idea together. Okay, we can display a new paragraph on the board. Right after, ask guide questions. So what is this paragraph mostly about? Which sentence tells us what the rest is explaining? Of course, teacher will ask that, and of course, students will give their answer or their responses. Okay. Of course, we will um, we will give feedback to their answer, right? So in order for the students to know if they arrive at the correct answer. Next one, we have the collaborative learning or the you do together stage. Objective students work in pairs or small groups to practice the strategy. Example, group practice with main idea. Okay. Provide short passages to student groups. For instance, we will group our students in 5 groups. We will give different passages or same passages. Ask them to identify and write down the main idea. Okay, right after that, have them explain their thinking to the class or another group. Okay, or we will give them time to pick the main idea. Right after that, we will do the sharing or reporting. Okay, so while we are doing that, okay, make sure that we teachers monitor roaming around our students to know and to see if they understand our activity. Next one is we have the independent practice or the students will do it alone. Of course, objective students apply the reading strategy independently. Examples, individual main idea practice. Okay, we can give our students a reading passage at their level. Okay, so of course, students have their own level or phases. Okay, of course, we must give our students a reading passage that is aligned to their reading level. Next one, ask them to underline the main idea and write a short summary. And you can use this for assessment or to inform future instruction. So just those are some examples on how we teach reading comprehension by applying the GRR. Next slide po. So why is this approach important and who will benefit? Of course, the GRR model is critical because it ensures that students are not left to figure out complex skills on their own. Instead, it provides a scaffolded learning experiences, promoting long-term retention and mastery of foundational learning skills. It is especially beneficial for number one, okay, beneficial for number one, of course, with our struggling readers. So, students with reading disabilities or at risk for reading failure need structured support to grasp and apply phonics and decoding skills. So, of course, there are students who have a hard time in comprehending what they read. Of course, they need a support from us teachers. Okay. Number two is we have the ELL or the MLL students. Okay, so gradual scaffolding helps English language learners or the ELLs and multilingual learners, MLLs, navigate language learning, providing clarity and structure as they acquire new language skills. And the third one is we have the last one. Of course, all students will benefit to this GRR model. All students by offering a clear, step-by-step process for mastering any academic task, especially complex reading skills. So, I'm sure you will agree that, of course, students will learn best when there is a clear instruction from us, right, teachers. There is a guidance coming from us teachers, and also they learn better, okay, by sharing, collaborating with their peers. Let me end this discussion with this quote. The reading comprehension is not a skill that you teach, of course. It is a condition that you create. So that is according to Robert Bodichon. Everyone, if you have some questions, you can chat in our chat box, okay, to be answered later in our Q&A. Thank you so much po.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Jacqueline. Okay, surely your segment enlightened our participants on the importance of GRR in enhancing reading comprehension of learners. Well, now we are down to our last topic for this afternoon's webinar. Nonetheless, please do not forget to stretch a bit and to drink your water. Stay hydrated, everyone. And of course, we are now ready to move on to our very last topic, which is on designing effective lessons using explicit teaching. Our speaker will walk us through a sample lesson plan showing how to integrate these comprehension strategies step by step. Ladies and gentlemen, stay focused as we learn from Ma'am Erica M. Mediana.
All right, so thank you so much, ma'am. All right, so I'm Miss Erica Medrana. I am a former private school teacher, and today I'm going to discuss designing effective lessons. All right, next please. Okay, so for our objectives, apply the gradual release of responsibility model in designing a lesson. Next is discuss sample lesson models using the GRR model. Third one is determine the ways in teaching key comprehension strategies. Next, please. All right, so these are the pre-lesson considerations. The first is, of course, identifying learner objectives. So I know that we are already familiar with this, right? So before we, in making or planning a lesson, it's very important that we have our end in mind. And that will serve as a guide to what we want our students to do or what we want them to achieve at the end of the lesson. And of course, it should be SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. The next one is select appropriate text. So in selecting appropriate text, it should be anchored. Of course, in selecting a text, it should be, of course, appropriate to your students' level of reading comprehension, as well as to their ages and grade level. Next, choose comprehension strategies. Alright, so do not overwhelm your students with so many comprehension strategies in just one lesson. See, for example, for today's lesson, maybe you can discuss first predicting, the next day, you can already discuss summarizing, and so on and so forth. Next is develop materials. Of course, it's very important to aid your lesson. You can make use of audiobooks, right? You can integrate technology, you can make use of handouts, and the like. Next is consider differentiation. So as we all know, hindi magkakatulad yung students natin when it comes to reading comprehension. Okay, meron tayong students who are slow learners. We also have students who are fast learners, slow readers, and fast readers. So it's very important that we consider this factor. Okay, so of course, para malaman natin kung anong klaseng text yung ibibigay natin sa kanila. Let's say, for example, for fast learners or fast readers, we can give them more complex text or longer text. Next, please. Okay, so a while ago, Ma'am Jackie and Ma'am Jessa have discussed the different key comprehension strategies as well as the GRR model. So today, we're going to discuss how to teach key comprehension strategies using the gradual release of responsibility or the GRR model. So let's start with lesson model 1, which is predicting. Next, please. Okay, so for introduction, okay, so in introducing predicting to your students, you can first flash a picture, all right, or a title, okay. So let's say, for example, the title of the story is about Stranger Things. So as a teacher, you will be the first one to model how to make prediction based on the title. Say, for example, the title of the text or the story is Stranger Things. So based on the title of the story, I can predict that there will be lots of conflicts that will happen in the story. And using visual, of course, of the title, you can say that based on the visual, I can predict that the characters will be having a hard time defeating their enemies or the monsters. Okay. So aside from the title and the visual, you can also read aloud a passage to teach your students about making prediction. Let's say, for example, Jane has been feeling down lately because her mother is terminally ill. When she came home at 2 o'clock in the morning, she received a call from her father. So based on the text, I can predict that Jane's mother is in critical condition or she's already dying. From there, you can explain to your students um, how you use the clues or the evidence in the text and their prior knowledge in making prediction. Alright, so then after modeling, you can already transition to guided practice. In this space, your role is the facilitator. You can let your students read the passage together, which can be done by pairs or small groups. Okay. In between readings, you can ask them about what will happen next in the story, or you can also ask them questions and give prompts, such as what do you think will happen next in the story? What do you think is the author trying to um, tell about? Okay? And so on and so forth. So here are the examples of collaborative activities that you can use, okay, to in prediction. First is prediction fail. Okay, you can introduce a new story by having students take a picture walk. Here they will examine the cover and illustrations and make predictions based on the title, illustrations, and other textual clues. Students write their predictions on slips of paper and place them in a prediction field. After reading, they can share their predictions, discuss the accuracy of their predictions, and connect them to the text. Another example of collaborative activity that you can use in your class is a mystery bags, wherein you can place a few items related to the story in a mystery bag, and students will make predictions about the story based on the clues they gather from the objects. Students can discuss the objects with their partners or small groups, collaboratively brainstorming and developing predictions. Okay, and for the independent practice or the I do, in this phase, you provide students with a short passage to read independently, then ask them to write predictions about the text. So here you can let your students make a T-chart for them to list the evidences and the clues as well as their prediction. Next, please. Okay, for wrap up, try to compare your students' prediction to what actually happened in the story. Next, please. Okay. All right, so let's proceed to lesson model 2, which is inferencing. Objective: students will be able to make inferences based on the evidence from the text. All right. So here, in the introduction, you can discuss the meaning of inferencing to your class and its importance in reading comprehension. Again, to present the concept of inferencing, you can use visuals. You can show a mystery image, for example, a person running with a melting ice cream cone, and you think aloud. So what do you see? That will serve as an evidence. Okay, For example, I see melted ice cream, and what can you infer? Okay, so the person dropped the ice cream because it's hot outside. Okay, so don't be confused between predicting and inferring. I know they look alike. Okay, but in predicting, it's about making an educated guess to what will happen next. While in inferring, it's about making conclusion based on the clues or the evidence, and also a prior and background. Alright, so another way to introduce inferring to your students is through a short passage. For example, Jason slammed his locker and stepped down the hall. So he didn't say a word to his friends and threw his backpack on the ground. So here in the passage, it doesn't, um, it is not stated, right, that Jason is angry. Okay, but using our background knowledge or prior knowledge, all right, so we know that when a person acts the same way as Jason does, we know that um, the person is angry. So you explain to your students how you use your background knowledge, how you use the clues in the passage to make inference. All right, so next, okay, so these are the examples of collaborative activities that you can integrate in teaching inference. First is inference detectives. Divide students into groups and provide each with a set of clues related to a mystery or a scenario. Students work together to analyze the clues and make inference about what happened. Next is bag-based inferencing. Prepare bags containing items that suggest a specific destination or activity. Examples and glasses, flip-flops, and sunscreen for a beach trip. Students collaboratively examine the items and write sentences inferring the destination activity. Next is headband picture or guessing. Use headbands and picture cards wherein students will work collaboratively together to help the person wearing the headband identify the picture based on the clues and their existing knowledge. Alright. Another is mystery pictures. Cover an image in PowerPoint with puzzle pieces wherein students work together removing one piece at a time and infer what the picture might be based on the revealed clues. Okay, then after you can already proceed to independent practice. You can provide students with a short passage to read independently. Ask students to make inferences about the characters or events and identify the clues that support their inferences. In this activity, you can use anchor chart, okay, wherein your students will list or can list the clues, all right, and the evidences they found in the text, okay, and their inferences about it. Next, please. All right, so the third one, the third lesson model is summarizing. Objective: students will be able to summarize an informational text by identifying the main idea and key supporting details. All right, so here, in introduction, next please. Think aloud and model summarizing in the story. So you can discuss to your students what is summarizing and what is the importance of summarizing and the steps in summarizing the story. No, babalik. Okay, so think aloud Alright, and model summarizing in the story. Example, for narrative story, they can make use of strategies such as SWBST, and for informational story or informational text, they can make use of the 5W, 5Ws plus H. Okay. And then you can also read aloud a short paragraph and highlight key points. You can tell them the main idea and the supporting details of the paragraph that you have read. You can use a graphic organizer to jot them down. All right, and also you can form a summary. What do you call that? You can use a summary template, right, to introduce or to teach the summary to your students. So say for example, so based on the text that you have read, the main idea is the key details are in summary blank. Okay. Okay, so after that, you can proceed to guided instruction. Okay, so here, you can read the second paragraph aloud or have your students read it silently. In between reading, you can ask guided questions such as what is the paragraph movie about, what details support the idea, and you can let them construct a summary sentence or a paragraph. And after that, they can discuss it with a partner or they can present it to the class. For the last one, allow students to read the passage independently, write the summary of the entire story. So that is a graphic organizer or the outline that you can use to write the summary of the passage that they read. Next, please. Okay, for assessment, collect the summarizing worksheets and review them for understanding. Of course, it's very important that you provide feedback for your students to be able to know if they are on the right track or they are following the right format of summarizing. Observe students during the guided process and independent practice activities to assess their ability to summarize the story. Next, please. Wrap up. For wrap up, students share their summaries in class, discuss the differences and similarities in their summaries. Highlight the importance of including only the most important information in a summary. Next, please. Okay, so here are the other assessments that you can use for formative assessments. You can use exit tickets. You can also use this. You can also let them have their peer to share whatever they learned on a specific what they have learned about summarizing the text. Observation and question. Next is summative. You can give quizzes, paragraph responses, projects, and presentation. Next, please. All right, so you can also integrate technology in teaching this key comprehension strategies such as interactive ebooks. So there are lots of interactive ebooks online, and also use online resources, multimedia such as audiobooks, and all right, and that ends my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Erica. And thank you to all our speakers for those informative and practical presentations. Truly, you have equipped us with essential knowledge as reading teachers. Okay, so now we open the floor for questions and reflections. To facilitate this, I turn you over to Mom Sarah Jane Salang Bustos.
Okay, so thank you very much to all of our speakers for those insightful presentation. At this point, we will now open the floor for questions, clarifications, and sharing of ideas. You can share your own experience po or strategies related to teaching reading comprehension. So before asking question or sharing your ideas, please state your name and the school you're representing before asking question po. If you like to direct your question to a specific speaker, kindly mention their name po as well. Okay? So, who would like to ask questions po or share your experience about reading comprehension? Anyone po? Imagine po we're all detectives trying to crack the mystery of reading comprehension. So, let's give our speakers na lang po and participants a round of applause for their active participants in the open forum po.
Ma'am Sarah? Am I being heard po? Ma'am Sarah, maybe we can do the photo ops instead if there are no questions.
Ma'am Sarah, parang may tanong po si Ma'am Rosinita sa chat. Sa chat box po.
Maybe, I believe Ma'am Sarah Jane may be experiencing some technical difficulties po, so she cannot respond to us. Anyways, I guess any speaker can answer po if you wish to. The question is, why is Philippine education problematic about
reading
the
comprehension?
reading comprehension of learners po kaya, dear speakers? Anyone can answer. Ma'am Jessa, please answer. Thank you po.
Sige ma'am, ako na po yung mauna. I think the problem with with our with the Philippine education dun sa pagdating sa reading comprehension is not that they cannot comprehend kasi. I think it has something to do with their interest in reading. Well, this is coming from my experience po, ma'am, because I've handled 1, 2, 3. Siguro sa 3 taon, ma'am, meron po akong 5 sections. So, meron 15 sections. Hindi po sila mahina, but they are not really interested in reading talaga. Tapos yun po yung nagti-trigger
Why
dun
we
sa
have
mababa
low
nilang scores,
PISA?
which na ang lumalabas po dun sa mga studies is they cannot comprehend, but they are actually maayos nga po silang magbasa eh. But the problem is, I think the interest of the students sa pagbabasa. Na hindi na lang din nila binabasa yung passage, they are just simply answering para matapos nila yung exam. This is as far as my experience is concerned po. Thank you po.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Jessa. Any other answers we can get from the speakers po? So Ma'am Jessa said, yeah, the interest, which is true po, I agree. Yeah, with the lots of, how do you call this?
Sa public schools, ma'am.
Yes.
I think. Because
Yes po.
masyadong marami in a classroom na minsan hindi natin mabigyan focus.
Right, the class size. Thank you for that, Ma'am Jessa.
Ma'am, good afternoon.
Yes, Ma'am Mary Jane, you're recognized po.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, do you have any suggestion or tools that can you suggest in learning in learners who can who got frustrated in reading comprehension? Kasi in public po, meron po kasi kaming Carla na tinatawag. So yun nga po, talagang reader naman nga po, pero talagang in a simple paragraph na bibigyan mo sila ng tapos nababasa naman po yung paragraph, pero pagdating po sa question, talagang ang hirap nila i-comprehend yung question kahit nakailang basa. Kahit po nabasa na nila, nababasa naman, pero teacher na po talaga nagbasa din. Pag tinanong mo sila, talagang hindi po yung comprehension po talaga nila frustrated. Meron po kasi kami noon na every first, ngayon po, mag-start po yung sa pasukan, tapos ano po, may pre-test kami tsaka post-test. Karamihan po sa learners ngayon ganun. Do you have any tools? Can you share or suggest for the learners who got this kind of scenario?
Thank you very much, Ma'am Mary Jane, for that question po. Any of the speakers can answer po. Ma'am Mary Jane is asking for a specific tool daw po that you can suggest to improve reading and reading comprehension. Yes, Ma'am Sheena po.
Hello po, good afternoon. Hi, Miss MJ. Thank you for sharing your question. So, based from what we discussed po in the PPT, so meron po tayo, we can use graphic organizers such as like what Miss Jacqueline Bardier presented, and from my own experience naman po, we can use din po audiobooks or read alouds, and from the webinar din po that we have studied and watched, makakatulong din po yung to give questions that students and will not be only saying what they already know and add yung more details pa in our question to make it more comprehensive. And from what we experienced naman po during the pandemic, we can now have or use apps and websites such as Squidbooks. I forget the other one, but I can forward it to you later. So those websites that could engage learners, especially audiovisual learners, to practice their reading comprehension. I hope it helps po, Ms. MJ.
Thank you po. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Mary Jane and Ma'am Sheena. Ma'am Karen is raising her hand. You're
Yes,
recognized, ma'am.
ma'am. Yes po. I would just like to revisit what Miss Jessa mentioned earlier because I believe I agree dun po sa sinabi niya. But I also have a question I'd like to raise. If students don't show interest, like what she said, what strategies can we as teachers can we use to motivate the kids to ignite their interest in reading? Specifically, Miss Jessa, what approaches do you personally use to address this kind of issue po?
Thank you for the question, Ma'am Karen. Ma'am Jessa, yeah.
Yes. Hi po, ma'am. Um, Nagtatragalog po ako, ha. Sorry. Ang ginagawa ko po kasi kapag nagle-lesson, um, nire-relate ko po yung mga trending kasi, whenever a trending topic is mentioned, para silang ano, para silang mas nagiging active. Say for example, yan pong is yung story that I use as an example. I'm integrating something that is related to that. Say for example, teleserye, sometimes a movie, and then I would ask them what are their opinion about it and yung pagkakapareho. I think also in the public school kasi pag sinabing as much as I want to integrate technology, I cannot since yun nga po, yun yung isa sa pinakamagandang way para ma-encourage natin silang magbasa yung pagpapagamit sa kanila ng tablet, paglalaro. Yun po yung una ko naisip. But then, if we are talking about public school, meron nga po kaming tablet, di naman siya gumagana. So, yung isa sa mga strategies na lang na naisip ko is gumamit po ng mga local nating palabas na related. Then, nagiging ano naman siya, nakakakita naman po ako ng improvement. Pareho pala sila nitong palabas na halimbawa po, Batang Quiapo. Pareho naman po pala sila. Nakikita ko naman po yung pagbabago dun sa, sige basahin ko kasi pareho naman. Say for example, when I was in junior high school, I was teaching this, what was this, story. It's about tribe in the mountain province na pwede silang mag-asawa kapag hindi nagkakaroon ng anak, ganun. And then at that moment na yun yung topic namin, nandun din po yung pinapalabas yung Halikbot na teleserye. And yun, nire-relate ko na lang po siya since hindi ko magamit nga yung technology, ganun na lang po yung ginagawa ko. I hope it answers your question on that.
Yes po, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am Jessa, and thank you, Ma'am Karen. If there are no more questions, I guess we are ready for some photo opportunities. So may we all open our cameras? If you're all okay with that. Yung mga pwede pong mag-open ng kanilang video cams, please do open so we can take a screenshot of our beautiful faces. Sarah, we're ready. Please give us a cue. I'm sorry. Ma'am Sheena pala, sorry. Okay.
Last one po. 1, 2, 3. Okay na po.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma'am Sheena. Thank you very much to everyone and to Ma'am Sarah, especially for the open forum. Before we end our webinar po, Ma'am Sheena will flash for us the QR which you can scan. There it is. Please fill out our attendance and feedback form so you can claim your certificates. Okay? So before we officially close our program rather, I'd like to express our heartfelt Gratitude to all our participants, our teachers for the subject, and to our speakers. Your time and insights have truly made this webinar a success. So today we have learned about why reading comprehension matters in all subjects. We've learned about the key strategies to enhance comprehension, how to implement the GRR model effectively, and how to design lessons that support every learner. We hope that you leave the session inspired and better equipped to help your students become confident and thoughtful readers. Please don't forget to fill out the feedback form and evaluation link that we've posted a while ago. This will serve as your proof of attendance for your certificate. Once again, this has been your host, Ms. Susanita Gutierrez. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe, keep teaching, and continue making a difference. Have a great day ahead.